What's up guys, it's Jacoby1 Kenobi, and I just wanted to make a quick video going over the settings in Chivalry 2 for console players specifically. I feel like when I've been playing with people, a lot of people are just told what settings to use, and they're not told exactly what those settings do necessarily. They're just said, they're just told, don't use this, turn this off, turn this on. And kind of the goal of this video today is to go over these things and maybe help people understand what these settings do and how they work in the game and if they are the right settings for you. So in the video here, you can see I have highlighted attack direction from movement input. A lot of times I've seen videos that go over settings for console players and they say to turn this off. And I don't necessarily think that's the right thing to tell people without explaining what it does and the things that you're giving up when you turn this off. And it's a really nice feature that I think a lot of console players aren't utilizing properly. I'm going to show you examples of what I mean. So here we're going to swing from the right, and we're pressing right on the analog stick while we're pressing the slash button at the same time. And you'll see that that slash comes out from the right side. And here we're going to be holding left on the analog stick while we're pressing the slash button, and it'll come out from the left side, which is really nifty. So if you're running up to somebody, you see their parries, open from the left, you can come at the left instead of the right. So here's where I think this has an advantage. When you're holding down your counter button or your block button, if you're pressing left on the analog stick while you're pressing the slash button, your slash will come out to the right. And the reason why that's important is if you have that setting disabled, the attack input direction disabled, whenever you hold down counter or your block button and you press attack, it'll always be an alt attack. It'll always come out from the left side. You'll never be able to come out from the right. And here's how you do the opposite of the last example. If you hold down the block button, you press right on the analog stick plus the slash button, your guy will perform an alt counter and come out from the left side. So I feel like this gives you more tools in your arsenal. It gives you the ability to compete with the PC players. They're not limited like we are. They have the ability to bind their buttons. They have the ability to, customize and make the controls feel how they want to, where we don't have that. But this at least opens up some options for you and allows you some different things that you can do in combat that you might not have been able to do before if you've been limiting yourself by not using this setting. And here's another one of those settings. I feel like it really just depends on what your setup is and what you're comfortable with. This is the enable crouch toggle. So what that means is, like for me, I have an Xbox Elite controller. I have the paddles on the back. When I want to crouch, I just hold it, and that keeps it, that keeps my character crouched. And when I want to uncrouch, I let go of the button. And it's as easy as that. If you're using a regular Xbox, a default Xbox controller, or a PlayStation 5 controller, you have to click your right analog stick. So it may work better for you to have it, toggled, where you have to click it again to uncrouch. That might be the best option. It's something to play around with and see if that works for you. This next setting here is like performance, I think it's called. Yeah, performance. And I leave mine in quality. So for me, I find that quality just runs smoother. It doesn't look jagged. I think that the frame rate, it might boost the frame rate and it might look better, but it just kind of feels like it skips frames and it looks jagged and weird, and I don't like it. But some people swear by it and they say that that's the way to run it, even though it looks like crap. But for me, I just find that quality is a way better experience and it looks better. So another thing I wanted to point out is we're in the video settings menu now, the tab over, and the very first setting here is motion blur. That is something that is super annoying, and you have to keep in mind that this setting does not save in between when you turn the game off and back on again. So what that means is if you turn motion blur off and you quit out of the game and shut the game completely down, whenever you reload the game and start the game up again, you need to go back into your settings and turn motion blur on and back off again. Otherwise, it won't remember and you'll have motion blur while you're playing the game. It's really annoying. I think it's something only console players deal with, and I really wish they'd fix it. Moving on down the list, we're at the first person field of view settings. I max this out at 120. It gives me more of a view of what's going on in the battlefield. I play mostly in first person, and the only thing I would say is maybe the negative thing about going 120 FOV is that it makes the players look a little further away than they really are, and it's something you got to get used to. Keep in mind this is only on first person and the third person FOV is locked where it is. So this only affects first person view. Down at the bottom you have gamma. On a map like desert where it's really dark, I would recommend like turning that up as bright as you can where you can actually see people. Otherwise just leave it where it looks good to you. All right, going into the next tab, we're in our controls tab. Here is where your sensitivity settings are at. For me, I like my sensitivity kind of right in the middle for my X axis. And then when it comes to my Y sensitivity, I like it a little lower. It helps me keep my accuracy and I'm able to track my swings and my stabs and things a little better this way, and I don't get lost in the middle of a fight. It's really helpful for me, especially playing in first person. And some people don't do it; they just leave them both the same. But for me, I leave the Y a little bit lower than the X. So the next setting I'm going to focus on is a look response style. There's a few different settings and it kind of affects the way your joystick handles and the way it feels. I personally like dynamic, but everybody's a little different. Try dynamic, try all of them, see which one works best for you. It's another one of those settings that's really just personal and what feels best for you. For these settings here, your right and left stick dead zones, you want to set these as low as you possibly can without having any stick drift. If you're noticing stick drift, raise them up a little bit until you notice it go away. For trigger dead zones, I leave those pretty low. If you notice and you're throwing up a block or a swing and you're not really wanting to do that, maybe raise them up a little bit, but leave them low. And here's probably my most controversial take in the whole video. I'm going to have people probably really mad at me for even suggesting this, but enable auto assist on melee weapons. You want to leave that enabled, or at least try it out before you take it off. I notice a lot of people take it off. And I didn't play with aim assist on for melee for a long time. I thought it was terrible. Felt like it made me miss my shots, that I wasn't doing as well with it on. And one day I tried it again. I said, I'm going to give it a shot and see if I notice a difference. And I pretty much noticed immediately that my stab drags were way better. I could tell when something was going to hit. It's just a feeling. And I don't know how else to describe it besides play with it a little bit. Give it a chance. Don't just dismiss it as something that you can't use, it's useless, it isn't any good. It's just, don't do that to yourself. Give it a shot. I have a buddy that played, he was a level 1000 player. So he had played, 1,500 hours this game without that on, and I told him to try it out, and he hasn't turned it off since. And he noticed immediately that he was playing better and his stabs were doing a lot better. So just give it a shot and see how it feels to you. If you hate it, turn it back off again. Alright guys, and last up is the audio settings. I leave my master and my game volume up. I turn my voice volume down, and the main reason for that is you only hear your own footsteps and enemy footsteps. So if all your teammates are battle crying and everything else, you have an opportunity for enemies to sneak up on you. I leave that down and the game music volume and all that down just so I can sound whore a little bit better and get a better sense of what's going on around me. When you play in first person, that's super important. And when you wear headphones, it's a nice thing to be able to know when somebody's coming up behind you just based off of footsteps alone. If you're not wearing headphones, it might not be a big deal to you. Or if you really love the music, leave it on. It just doesn't matter that much to me. I turn it off. Alright guys, well that's about it for me for tips and tricks in the settings menu. This is once again for console. This should work for PlayStation or Xbox. If you're a PC guy, it'd probably just be a fun watch to see all the bull crap we have to deal with as console players. But if you like the video, be sure to leave a like, all that good stuff. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and thanks again everybody for giving it a watch. Hopefully I'll see you out here on the battlefield. Thanks.